Okay, thank you. I would like to call the meeting to order, and I can establish a quorum now. We do have a quorum. And before we get started, I still have to read this script, so I'm going to do that. As a preliminary matter, I'm Mary Ann Easley, Chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Allison.
Here.
Diane.
Here.
Vanessa.
Here.
Kendra.
Here.
Jude. Not here. Susie. Not here. Nancy.
Here.
Linda. Not here. Mary Ann here. Thank you, everybody.
Staff.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Jericho
Affirmative.
was here. Laura,
Here.
thank you. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Council on Aging is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, the Council on Aging is convening by video conference via Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and to take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless noted otherwise. We're now going to start on the first item on the agenda.
After
And,
you do the approval of agenda.
excuse me?
I'm sorry, you're doing the approval of the agenda? I just wanted to make sure I was following. Are we doing the approval of the agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
So we're
thank
gonna
you.
Turn to the agenda right now. And I will ask for someone to move to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda.
Okay, Allison.
And is there a second for that?
I'll second it and let you know that I just called in.
Yeah, Jude's here.
Okay, Jude is here. Great. Everybody who is in favor of the agenda, please say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Good. Next, we're going to move on to the meeting minutes from the last meeting, the September 1st meeting. Can I get somebody to move to approve those minutes?
I move to approve them.
That was Jude. Thank you.
second.
Kendra seconded. Is
Yes.
there any discussion or any suggestions or changes that anybody has?
They were really good minutes. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
I agree. Everybody in favor of the minutes, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. So now we can move on to the middle of the agenda. And I'll start with the first item, which is just to mention the Title IIIB federal grant that I think everybody was notified that we have received, which is to do home modifications for seniors on Nantucket. I'm going to attend an orientation meeting on October 19 with the folks on Cape Cod to get all the details ironed out on and what the rules are. So, and then there will be town rules as well that we'll have to follow. So I'm imagining at our next meeting, our November meeting, we'll actually discuss this in more content wise about how we're going to proceed with this, how we will identify seniors in need and how we will identify tradespeople who can provide the services. So if people could just be thinking about that, it would be great. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Congratulations, though. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for everybody's help on this too. I appreciate it. I think it's going to be kind of feeling our way in the dark, but that's the way it is. And I hope to provide people in need with some solutions to their problems and help them to stay in their homes. So,
And so do we think this is going to be income oriented at all? Are we going to have like a financial scale that people can, have to fall onto, or are we going to just take people as they come?
well, that will be a discussion item on how we're going to identify people and how we'll take them, but it has nothing to do with your income. We're not allowed to even think about whether the person needs it financially or not. But we are allowed to tell people after we've completed the service that if they would like to contribute something to this fund, which will be a totally separate fund maintained by the town of Nantucket just for this purpose. If they'd like to make a donation, we're happy to accept donations, but we cannot discuss their ability to pay or not pay.
Great, just
So
curious.
it's open to everybody who's a senior, regardless of income.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions?
Are you gonna have some sort of like, I don't want to call it a timesheet, but like a request? That has the senior's name, mailing address, phone number, and then what they actually need. And then
Yeah, I
Like-
think
like-
that's great. I haven't gotten that far just because I'm waiting for the orientation session, so I understand what
Yeah.
all of the parameters are for this thing. So that would be great if at the next meeting, we discuss somebody like you who probably does this on a regular basis and is, could think of everything that we need. It would be great if you could do that, Vanessa, produce something that we could use for that purpose.
Like,
Sure.
like an application.
Yeah, that would be wonderful.
Yep, I got it. Thanks.
And are you going to the Cape for this, Marianne?
No, everything is on Zoom these days, so
Okay.
the
Good.
answer to that is no.
Okay. I thought
Marianne,
I-
a quick,
Somebody else had a question?
yes, a quick question if I could. Is there going to be a financial limit assessed to what these people can have?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to learn as we go
Okay.
along with this. I'm also kind of concerned of how are we going to identify the tradespeople, carpenters, plumbers, whatever we need for this. We're going to have a process for that as well. So I don't have any answers yet. I'm hoping that by the next meeting, I'll be able to say, I've been through the whole orientation session. I have some answers, and the whole council can be thinking about how we're actually going to pull this off.
Okay.
So,
I'm guessing that there's going to have to be an RFP, and the tradespeople are going to have to be approved by the town and be on there, because the town's going to be paying them. So they have a whole process under which they need to have X, Y, and Z for payment. So we might not have a huge part in that, other than to direct tradesmen to the town to be certified or whatever.
oh, thank you, Allison. Yeah, see, you know more about this process than I do.
I'm
So
just guessing, but RFPs or whatever that stands for. I think
Yeah,
we'll
and
have to do
they
that.
will be paid by the town directly, and the pay scale is determined by the government. I don't know which level of government. So we have nothing to do with how much they're paid for their services. And they all have to go through a query check through the police department. So yeah, that's about as much as I know about it. So next month, I hope we can launch this thing, at least in a small way. And my hope is that we can learn as we go, and by 6 months into it, we'll have a smooth sailing, but we'll see. Anything else on this subject before I move on to the flu shot clinic?
Should I do have a question. Should I put the amount that we received in the minutes?
Sure, it's $7,500 for the first year. And if we're successful, according to their, how they measure, we'll get another $7,500 for another year.
Okay, thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the flu shot clinic, which, was anybody here? Did anybody here participate in that in any way?
I wasn't old enough.
No 65 plus, except for me.
Well,
So I can say as a senior who went and got my shot, it was just smooth sailing. The whole thing was just so well organized that I arrived a half hour early because it was more convenient for me. And they didn't even mind. They took me right away. I was shot in the arm before I even knew it was over with. And at the end, there were a few pieces of literature that you could pick up if you were interested. So we got 110 people, I guess. Is that correct, Laura? Yeah, 110 people total. And I think it was a good combination of the hospital and the Council on Aging and the Center for Elder Affairs, who provided all of the volunteers for the event. So it was a great success. It was very simple, but I didn't hear anybody complain about it, including friends of mine who are very critical. So. I heard only good things, so that was good. And thank you to Jude and to Susie, who also, helped with the planning of this thing. It came off really well. Next on the agenda is the event to celebrate our 2021 Seniors of the Year.
Can I interrupt before you
Oh,
go ahead?
absolutely. Please.
Another thought to think about, if anybody has kind of been reading what the health department kind of sort of said, that maybe once the vaccines get out for the children, that the in-building mask mandate might go away. So you might want to wait until January or February, and then we can get into the fairgrounds. Just something for you all to discuss.
Okay, I imagine that this would be most of the discussion of this meeting, and I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this because, of course, I think at the end of our last meeting, we thought we had come to a conclusion about this, but as you all know, things have changed, and I'd just like to hear what everybody's thoughts are at this point. I realize that one of our recipients is not very well, but apparently he's traveling. So
I just saw him the other day and he's out and about on his own, so.
So how do people feel about, I mean, it seems like the choice right now is to do something very small, maybe make it available to other people via Zoom, or to do what Laura is now suggesting, which is to wait a few more months and see if the worst of COVID passes so that we can all have our usual luncheon at the fairgrounds, which would actually be a nice reunion for everybody.
I've been wanting to have the Man and Woman of the Year on the Frank and Mary show, but I don't know what we would ever talk to them about that would fill a half an hour since they've had very few, if any, responsibilities. So I'd like to, we can certainly have some spotlight on them, from that venue. But when I was thinking about the questions we'd ask, or, I don't, there's no oomph yet for them. So oomph.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody looks at the website for the NCEA, which is our equivalent fundraising organization, but they have done a fabulous job of recognizing both of these people. There's a complete biography of each of them on there. So if anybody hasn't seen that, I think I was really impressed with what a great job they did of recognizing both of them. But
I
so
haven't seen it, but
Allison,
I'll look.
would they have to take up a whole half hour?
Um,
Because it seems they could talk about what they've done, which is a million things.
right, personally, but they haven't really done anything as well. Okay,
Yeah, but they weren't recognized for what they're doing. They were recognized for their past.
done.
that's true.
So we
Yes.
could, the biography is great and include that, but I think it would be more of a toast to them. As opposed
Gotcha.
to like, tell us what you're doing.
Right.
The other thing is, I saw the mail recipient yesterday, and he has plans, once COVID clears up, to get back into doing FEMA work. So you could also talk about what their plans may be for the future. They're not at a standstill as far as what they can do, except for the COVID restrictions, but they certainly plan on moving ahead. So. that might be
Maybe I'll
something
see if they
check
want
on.
to do it sooner rather than later.
I would love to see them on the Frank and Mary show, and you could just interview them as people, because they're both interesting people and so involved in the community.
I'm
have a
sorry,
question.
I can't remember who they were. Can somebody
This is-
share?
Yeah.
I know.
Rich
Rich
Leone,
I
Leone.
remember Rich.
and Joanne Polster.
No, I guess I
I
just.
don't know if you know Joanne, but
No.
she volunteers with the library, with the Shipwreck Museum.
Marie Mitchell,
Oh, she's on a million.
UU Church, thrift store.
Yeah. And
Um,
she makes huge contributions in all of these places.
Well, we picked the right person then.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yes, we did.
I have a question in reference to, I guess, a half to Miss Marianne and half to Laura. Is Rotary going on? Like, is that really still Zoom or is that in person that?
It was in person today.
Yeah, it's been back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to one of their Zoom meetings, which was not very well attended.
Okay.
I don't
I
know.
don't understand like what's the difference between recognizing seniors as opposed to like the full Rotary crew being there.
They
Oh, I
they
think
were in person today.
Well, the thinking is that seniors are, as a group, more fragile than everybody else. So we've all been even more careful than younger people, I think.
And also, I think the Rotary meetings are more sparsely attended than packing all of us in the fairgrounds, because that's a packed house when we do our senior of the year thing.
I thought Rotary was usually a packed house too.
Oh,
Not
not,
as much.
not when I've been. But
I think some of it, Vanessa, is that the Salt Marsh as an entity, the town, if anything happened at this celebration, that somebody got COVID, there was a breakthrough, that would not be what we would be interested in being behind.
Yeah.
But once the mask mandate inside is lowered and everybody's on the same plane, then, you can float around a little more so we just want to be
Well,
safe.
Well, that I also get. However, just because Pfizer, approved vaccinations from 5 to 11 doesn't mean that all of the parents are gonna, prick up their kids and call it a day. It's just, our kids have been in school for almost a month now, and I think the emails that I've gotten home, there's only been 4 cases. So 4 cases out of the 1,700 students, out of the 300 staff, like. So I understand we're all in the same retrospect of, making sure everyone's happy, healthy, and sick. But I really feel like the seniors have, I don't want to
taking a
say,
hit.
yeah, I feel like the seniors really need their own time. So like, I would love to do something like, via Zoom. But if anything, like they really need to be recognized in person. Like, going back to senior of the year 2020, like, everything has been shut down, and it would just be a great way to bring everybody back out And so even if we have to wait 2 months, that's my 2 cents.
I agree.
And so can we require proof of vaccination if we meet off-site, off a town property? Like, could we require people to bring proof?
I don't
think
think,
you
I don't
can
think,
mandate.
I don't think you can mandate that.
Mhm.
And same thing with like, the business itself. Like if you're a private business and that's what but you can't,
If it's
go
a
in
town
and-
function
yeah,
thing.
we
you
can't go in as a
mandate.
town function and tell them what we're gonna do,
Right.
So, yeah, very briefly, you can require vaccination, but you can't, they're not required to show you their vaccination status, basically.
So it's your word?
Yeah, so it's just like when people bring dogs to restaurant, is that a service dog? And you say yes, and that's the end of that conversation. I don't, there's no, here's my paperwork, here's this.
Mhm.
You can't legally ask.
A question?
Yeah, Diane?
I've not been to one of these since we didn't have it last year. When we were honoring them, are the past year's members there as well? I mean, recipients there as well?
Laura, are you
At
here?
the lunch?
Yes, yes. They are all invited.
Okay. So the other thing we had come up with was maybe doing gift certificates for them. Is that, I think that's what I read in one of our emails.
There's
maybe-
always a gift certificate that NCEA gives them. When it was at the fairgrounds, it was more like a $35, $40 gift certificate. If you were going to do it via Zoom, it was suggested to give them a more substantial gift
Right.
certificate, since NCEA isn't paying for the food, but then the recipients could go out to dinner with their family and celebrate together.
I'm just wondering if that would be a better thing to do. And then next year, they would be honor them as going out as the 2021 Senior Man and Woman of the Year. That's my thoughts. Because we don't know if, things do look good with COVID, but like you said, things change.
So Jericho, do you know when the next Board of Health meeting is?
Third Thursday, I believe. So we're looking at the
21st? Do you know if they're going to vote on that mask mandate then? I mean, they do kind of every month, don't
They're
they?
going to discuss it,
Okay.
but it doesn't need renewal. It continues on until it is removed.
Right.
So
can COA do something like, we're going to vote on when the mask mandate drops, then we'll do the fairgrounds thing, and I'll know that. And Ginny and I will get on the ball as fast as we can. And we don't have to wait for COA to get together as a board again to vote on it. Because that's what's kind of holding us back, is that we have to wait each month for you guys to get together to vote what to do. Can you vote like, if this happens, then that'll happen? And if this happens, then that'll happen?
Yes.
Because if they vote the mask mandate down on the 21st, we would have to wait, a week and a half for you guys to vote on it. But if I know it and watch this board meeting, then Ginny and I can fly those invitations out in the mail. We can call fairgrounds and say, hey, can you give us a date? And just slam it together, just work on it really hard to see if we can get it going. Just a thought.
There's from my own personal feeling as a senior, there's the government decision, and then there's my decision, which kind of lags the government. In other words, once the government says all clear, I don't accept that means instantly it's all right. So I'm wondering about gathering in large groups immediately. I would rather kind of wait a month or two and then see how it's going after that's approved. But
Well, that
that's
would
just
give
my-
us more time too.
Well, I mean, why don't it, I mean, I think we should just wait until we know that it's going to be, I think it's going to be in 2022. I don't think anything's going to happen before that. I don't think enough kids are vaccinated and stuff. I mean, could we like tentatively just put a, like a earmark on like Valentine's Day or something like that and include it that way and know that we may be doing it in February instead of trying to pick something. I mean, I'm not saying we do it Valentine's Day, but maybe sometime in February when it gives that many months under our belt with everybody vaccinated, hopefully.
Would you like to make that into a motion?
Sure.
And then we can have any other discussion before we vote on it, but
Well, then my motion is I vote that we would just wait until 2022 and circle it more around either a somewhat benign holiday, Valentine's Day or, first day of spring or something like that, but make it knowing that we're going to wait until 2022 to do this for somebody, because, everybody, like Mary Ann said, it's going to be their own personal factor coming out, whether the government says, okay, you can go out on Tuesday and we have the party Thursday, ain't nobody going to be showing up on Thursday. So, I mean, I think that we need to have a couple of good months under our belt before we can say, come and join us for a non-deadly lunch. So it's like, come and, celebrate these people and celebrate the people that we weren't able to celebrate the year of. So that's all right. So my motion is to wait until 2022. And we have a couple of months under our belt of a mandate.
Also, Earls, maybe just tie it to when the Board of Health, stops the requirement of there being masks. Maybe we can start planning it to 2022. Because I see Laura's, issue with waiting for us to vote. Like if the mask mandate goes off, she can maybe start planning it for 2022. Or else is that too much?
We're already planning it.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I think this is planning. I mean, I think that Laura was saying is that Fairgrounds is almost like a turnkey operation for this luncheon that, that ship, that isn't broken. So let's leave it there. And that's we know the price, we know all that. And that what's holding up right now is COVID and the mask and gathering groups of people. So the plan is we wait till 2022 with a few months under our belt of the all clear.
I second it.
that.
Second by who?
Jude.
Oh, sorry. Excuse.
so before we take a vote, are there any other comments or suggestions?
Can you just clarify for me? So you're gonna wait until 2022 and then wait a couple of months, or you're waiting until the mask mandate goes down on the 21st of October?
Well, if
So
the
that we
mandate
would
goes
try to
off,
plan for January?
if the mandate goes off in October, we're still going to wait until January.
Okay, so
And you have-
January would be the first month you would be thinking. of
Right,
doing.
right.
Okay,
So
great.
you would have our approval this would include our approval for you to proceed in January or February.
Okay. Fabulous.
When do we vote on the seniors? Is it in May or June meeting?
I think it's May, because usually
April.
April, yes,
April.
because the
April you
luncheon is
vote.
always in June.
Yeah, because
Well, then we would then turn around and have another one in June of 2022. I
Correct.
just point that out. Okay. Thank you.
Are we ready to vote on this motion?
Can I just make one quick point?
Yes.
They did lift the mask mandate. God, I'm trying to think, Laura, was it maybe June? And we had everybody come back into the salt marsh. When you're
Yes.
doing exercise programs, you really cannot go in, especially with a senior masked. So we opened up everything and we weren't in there, what, maybe a month, and the mask mandate came back in because COVID had surged. I don't know around the holiday season if we're going to see a resurgence within the COVID aspect. You've got kids traveling, you've got people coming in. So I don't know if that's kind of a safe thing, because you go back into a place where you think there's no masking required, and it may be lifted. So that's just something to think about. We thought we were okay for a little bit, and we ended up back in masked.
Well, I think you're right, Nancy. And if in January things look really bad, of course, we're not going to do a luncheon.
Right, right. I mean, and if you notice too, even my feeling is that even there, I mean, people over here are very lackadaisical about the mask, but even if the mask mandate is lifted, people still go and go walk into a place with their mask on, and once they're seated at the restaurant, maybe or at the table, they'll take their mask off to conversation. But if you stand up and you're talking to a bunch of people, and I actually think this more with the seniors who are a little bit more fragile, would keep their mask on. So I don't know. I mean, I think their safety, personal safety factor is their business. I mean, I would think they would take care of themselves. Does that make sense? Like they would be their best judge of what they want to subject them to, what they want to be exposed to.
We still wouldn't want to have anything break out at our party though.
No. And that's why I'm saying you wait until we have, somewhat, this is kind of, the mandate is relaxed, or, we don't.
So if the mask mandate is lifted in October, don't rush to print the invitations quite yet.
No, definitely not. I would need to talk to Bill at Fairgrounds anyway.
And then also invite Dylan. I mean, like getting those guys is the tough part, right?
Yeah, I have an email out to them. He was here like last week and I was like, we, do the Zoom thing. And I said, we can't get it together. So I have an email out to, what's his gal's name?
Charity Grace.
Charity. And what his schedule looked like for November, December, and I haven't heard back. So now I'll say, what's it look like for January, February? So we'll see. And I also emailed Erica at the town just to give her a heads up that what we're thinking about, and just to see what Libby's schedule is, so they know it's happening. So it's not going to be a surprise when I email and say, this is the day. So
I just think we need to be, plan for the worst and hope for the best. And like planning is that we got to hold. I mean, nobody can make any big decisions. It's just hold on tight for the ride.
But yeah, historically, the 4 peaks from last winter were immediately after Thanksgiving, immediately after Christmas and New Year's, immediately after spring break, and immediately after second spring break.
So I guess we should take a vote of some sort. So let me rephrase this. If the mask mandate is lifted in October, Laura will look at the calendar, January, February timeframe, considering all the fact that we could be shut down again after holidays, but we will begin to think about it in the new year. And we can revisit this subject at every one of our meetings between now and then.
Okay, but are you changing the motion made by Kendra?
No.
No.
Okay, so the motion that I have is to wait until early 2022 to hold luncheon after we've had a couple of months of the mask mandate being lifted.
Excellent, Diane. That's it.
Okay,
So can we take a vote? And I'm going to actually go down name by name. So if you are in favor of this motion, please say yes. Allison,
Yes.
Diane,
yes,
Vanessa, Kendra,
Yes.
Jude,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Mary Ann, yes. So I guess Vanessa's off for the moment, but the rest of us, it was unanimous. Okay,
Just one quick question, Mary Ann, if I may.
yeah.
Is there any sort of financial obligation that's going to go with this? If for some reason we need to cancel at the last minute, are we beholden to the fairgrounds financially for any costs?
Laura, you're the person who interacts with them, so.
I mean, in that former business, I think, yeah, I mean, if we cancel, like, we have the luncheon on Wednesday and we're saying, oh God, we can't do it on Monday, we can't do that. I mean, we'd have to, I think, we would know enough ahead of time. If we gave them like 5 days out or 6, you know, whatever Laura relationship is with Bill, but I would think that a few, you know, more than just 24 hours would be okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it, like
Okay.
48 or 72, but you know, not.
And it is the NCEA's money and it's not our money. So it's not the town
Let's
money.
just spend it anyhow. But
Ouch.
But Laura, what is your contract with them usually like?
He is very flexible. Usually I can let him know what the total count is for scrod and prime rib like 4 days beforehand.
Okay, good.
But you also have to think about, you know, the trucking, ordering, traveling, all that kind of stuff is a little different this year. So that's a toughie.
yeah, and he would know, like Laura, if you're going to give him a heads up going, we're in, you know, in let's say we do plan it in February, you're going to say to him in January, can you give us a date in February? And then you would just discuss with them, okay, can we have like 4 or 5 days out? Like he could come back to us and say, look, I don't have a boat coming because of the weather. And then we, you know,
Right.
he's professional enough. He knows what's in his locker room, you know, locker, freezer.
And he serves scrod and prime rib on the
All
menu
on the menu.
anyway.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not like he's getting extra food.
Right.
So when I talk to him, I could say, what's your cancellation date if there is a COVID outbreak?
right.
So there's no monetary, you know, repercussions on our end.
Oh,
Anything else on this subject? On anybody's mind?
so Vanessa, we took a vote about saying yes on waiting until 2022, my motion. Okay.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
We also moved that you become president and we
So
all
we
agreed
do-
on that too.
Yeah, and yes, that you're the president now, Vanessa.
Okay. I'll put it on my to-do list. On top of all the chaos that happens at Sherburne that I have to run in.
To do, be present.
Thank you, everybody, for sticking with this subject. It's been a tough one, and it's probably going to continue to be rocky. So thank you, everybody, for all of your input. We're going to move on now to Jericho for a report on what's going on with Human Services.
Excuse me for a second. I'm sorry. My electrician who I've been waiting for many, many weeks just arrived.
Go. You good.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'll listen, but I won't. Okay.
Just make sure you mute yourself. You should be fine. Yeah, you're good. Let's see. What do we got going here? Neck deep in the schedule for 65+ vaccinations for boosters. Still doing the other 2 standing clinics. We got the behavioral health assessment coming out, trying to do some stuff with food stability and food security. With a startup on that. And then, yeah, that's about it, really.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, let me be a little bit more concrete on that. We're doing the standing clinic has moved to the trailer at 131 Pleasant. And then during the week by appointment, we're doing 65+. The procedure to sign up for 65+ for booster shots is to go to the town webpage, nantucket-ma.gov/vaccine, and then you can fill out a form there. And then within 2 days, we'll give you the next available appointment. We're currently booked out until the 28th of October. But both the Cottage Hospital and the health imperatives are also doing them. Nantucket Cottage Hospital is looking to be doing Monday clinics. Just got to sign up through the patient gateway.
And so the
then,
clinics are just for the first and second shots, right?
walk-in clinic on Sunday is only for first and second doses. Any third dose that was given by the town has to be pre-scheduled, and we've been scheduling those over the course of the weeks.
Can I ask, this is just the Pfizer, right? For the third
Yes.
one? It never seemed to be clear in the news to me.
It is the only vaccine the town is doing boosters for is Pfizer. It's the
So
only one with an
people
approved booster
got-
shot.
So people who got Moderna, do you suggest they wait? Is that
Um,
the protocol?
For the most part, yes, it is legal to cross-vaccinate for your booster shot, but almost no practitioners, no nurses, nobody whose license is on the line wants to do that.
Okay.
Dan's is doing off-label third doses. So I would consult with a primary care physician and then, see if they think that it's worth it to get the booster immediately in your condition, or if it's a question of waiting for Moderna to get full approval.
Right. Okay. I've had people ask me and I didn't know, and I didn't know for myself either. So, okay,
Oh, yeah,
thanks.
no, it's pretty complicated right now, and I'm sure it'll change immediately after I tell you one way or the other.
Okay, good.
Are there any other questions for Jericho?
No.
Thank you, Jericho.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
That's great. Next on the agenda is Laura with an update on salt marsh programs.
Yep, so everything is going very smoothly. It's been the same for a few months. We did just start a little coffee break this morning at 10 o'clock out on the front deck. And we had 5 people show up. And we brought them out a coffee and muffins, and they hung out for about 45 minutes and chatted. And that's kind of what we were looking for, is just trying to get some people together that don't usually get down here. And it was a nice mix of people. So that was kind of interesting. And hopefully the weather will be nice, and we will continue that on Wednesdays until we can come inside and do it. So that's kind of it that's new. Everything is just working very well down here.
And so how is the Mass Council on Aging conference?
Well, it was all Zoomed.
Any highlights for that on that?
No, not really. It's very different when you're not there to be able to converse with people and catch up with people, because you even, just during the lunch and dinners, and you hang out with all of them. And I'm still listening to some of the TED Talks that they put out there, which are kind of, I like them. They're short little quip things about fun stuff. But it was good. Nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy.
Yeah, just I always like the senior center, my senior center ones that have to do with tutorials of how to use my senior center more so, but we're just not big enough to be able to do that. A lot of centers use my active center, so people can sign up for classes and pay for classes online. But that would just be so confusing, and we don't charge for anything. But it's just always nice to hear what other senior centers are up to. And,
Yeah.
we are, every single center is so completely different. And a lot of other centers are still doing a lot more inside than we are. But what can you do?
Is that because they're bigger and better ventilated and everything?
It's because they don't have a mask mandate.
Oh,
That makes a difference.
I mean, we could, once that goes down and everybody's comfortable coming in and doing exercises, just because the mask mandate is down doesn't mean that we're going to go straight into exercising here. That it depends. You got to feel it out and see how it goes. But you know, it's, as Kendra said, it's a little different on the other side. So we're all healthy, things are going well. People seem to enjoy what's happening right now. Come the winter months, you know, only Nancy's gonna be the only one coming down to the salt marsh. Everybody else can stay home and exercise. So that'll be nice. So, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Laura, what were the TED Talks? Would it be something as a board that any talks that would be interesting?
I just always think TED Talks are cool. I will
Yeah.
see if I can forward them. I'll have to look on
Or
the
any that are
website.
interesting to highlight to send along?
Yeah, yeah. I was listening one today just about, you know, how to assert yourself and, you know, the male, female, different way. And, you know, if you give somebody choices, they're more likely to not be defensive. And is all I could say is, as being a daycare provider in my past years, that's what you always do with kids, right, Vanessa? Peanut butter jelly or grilled cheese, not
One or the other. And then
Right,
if they
we're not-
ask, why
Yeah.
not? And then it turns into, because I said so.
right. If you give them one, so it's just very interesting stuff. So I'll see if I
Yeah.
can figure that out and send out an email to everybody about them, because I think they're cool.
Any other questions for Laura? Okay, thanks, Laura.
You're welcome.
That's interesting. Allison, can you give us an update on the dementia-friendly Nantucket?
Yes. So does everyone get the MCOA bulletins?
Yes,
No,
they
No.
come fast and furious.
I know there's a lot of them, but I don't know how you sign up for them, but I find them really interesting because you, again, hear what other people are doing. But there's so much going on statewide for dementia-friendly communities. And there are, you know, bus driving qualification courses. There are a lot of things that are held in support of communities becoming dementia-friendly, but they also have a training that I think is a 2-hour training or something that I took a long time ago, as did Rachel, as did Erin Kopecki. But it would be a good sort of starter course for us to see what, again, the simple things are that you could begin with when you are looking to become dementia friendly, similar to, would you like grilled cheese or peanut butter and jelly? I mean, but to insulate that kind of language and that kind of thinking in your thinking is a good way to start. And if we all became familiar with it, you know, and took the training, I think more of us could speak to why it would be a good idea for Nantucket to become dementia friendly. And again, it's Council on Aging's and AAAs and elder services are all supporting this, even financially and with grants. So if we learned a little bit more about it, Arthur Bergeron said that Nantucket would be the perfect place to, as a guideline or as an example of how to become dementia friendly, because we are so closed. I mean, we know our library, we know our banks. I mean, there's such a limited, in a good way, in a bad way, access to resources that we could really comply with what it takes to become a dementia friendly community pretty easily. And I'd love your help on it, because I think that we as, you know, we as a group should be leaders in that. And the more fluent we become in it, the easier, identifying grants and signing up for them. We've got one under our belt so far. But I think as a Council on Aging, we could probably work together to get some money to make it more viable, because that the state's giving it away. So I sent Laura something today, but Laura, is there a link that people can, that you can send out so people can sign up for the MCOA? And they do come fast and furious. I just skim through them and get, and then delete them, but it has a lot of information about other Council on Agings and what the state is doing that I think would be helpful for us.
I did send out the link to the Alzheimer's
Newsletter?
that you just sent me, so everybody got that. When
Oh,
I
great.
at TED Talks, I will send out a link to be able to join MCOA newsletter.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But there is a training coming up, I think, or did it just happen? They have them frequently. And they also have, memory cafe percolator meetings, which once we get a memory cafe, hopefully we'll, whomever runs that. I'm working with someone at Pascon who has someone in the community interested in perhaps helping to fund a memory cafe again, because we didn't get the funding from the Title III grants. NAMI is still interested in their proposal. I think I can share their proposal with you so you guys can see what was applied for the Title III grant. It just spells out pretty specifically what's going to be needed for a memory cafe and how they were planning on funding it. So I'll send that to Laura and she can, I just learned that that was something we could share. So the more people that know about how it runs and what the proposal was, the closer we'll get to having that happen sooner rather than later.
Allison, I have a question. Is there is there any data available at all about Nantucket in terms of Alzheimer's and other dementia?
Yes, and that's mentioned in the grant. According to the state guidelines, there are already between 93 and 160 people living on Nantucket with dementia or related with Alzheimer's or related dementia. So that, there is and that's just breaking it down. I mean, Nantucket's population is older than the statewide population, which would edge it on the upper side. But there are a lot of people living with dementia here, and we don't know all of them, but more and more I've been approached about what's going on at the Memory Cafe or what are some resources for people with dementia, because I've got 2 friends that are really need help. So yeah, so the more we learn about it, the better. But in that report, it's a 14-page grant application, and I thought it was really well done, and I'm surprised that we weren't funded, but we weren't. So I'll share that.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry.
their funding decisions are somewhat based on ideas that they prefer at the moment. So it doesn't really have to do with how well the grant application is written,
Right.
but if it's written about something that they want to do more funding on.
I think that they realize that the state has, independent funding for the dementia-friendly initiative might be why they've thought that there would be a better place to get resources for a memory cafe. But again, Nantucket's really different, and yeah, but I'm still working away at it. There's somebody who if I am able to have a meeting with them, I will certainly share it with you. But I think we all need to be working on how we're going to find people to, in order for the program to be successful, there have to be participants. And I think one of the hardest things that we have to do is to find people who to participate in things that we sponsor. Like, I've asked Liz at the Artist Association how many people really signed up for the free workshops that were offered through them. And because I think that, we can do a billion things to provide opportunities, but unless we can identify people who can use them, then if they go unused, I mean, I know Joe Aguirre wrote a Title III grant several years ago for transportation, and nobody used it. So they had to give it back. It doesn't mean that no one needed transportation, but the communication and how people were to, how easy it was to sign up and how we can identify and spread the news about these kind of things is important. Like, Laura, does anyone borrow the tablets? Yeah, I mean, that's something that if there needs to be education around how to use them, and some of the grants that were accepted by some of the Title III grants were about accessibility to technology. And that's a big thing that was, that they we're looking to help out with. So, we have the equipment and we have the money to support it, but we don't have the outreach to get the people who need it signed up, whether it's for stigma of not having it. I mean, maybe they don't know that it comes with, an internet connection. I mean, we need to, be, or have some type of list. And I know that once the Memory Cafe things happens, we'll reach out to the fire department and to Sherry and to people who might know, but they often can't identify it. It's a friend suggesting it, or somebody who cares about somebody who's living with someone with Alzheimer's is the person who should really get involved. And I think we can help out with that.
Well, I did take the training. I just
Oh,
want to. let you
good.
know. Yep, I took it last month.
Oh, good. And so what did you think of it?
The woman who does it is excellent. I thought it was a little long. It was 2 hours. I could have narrowed it down to maybe an
Yeah.
hour and 15 minutes, but she's excellent. She does a great job with it.
Was
so.
it Beth
That's good.
Solzberg?
Pardon?
Was it Beth Solzberg, I think?
I can't remember her name. She's
Yeah.
very good. And I have so much time now, so I didn't care that it was 2 hours, but for some people, that's a long time to give.
Yeah.
They could do a shorter version, but it was worth my while.
Yeah. Good.
I learned a lot.
Good. So
But
that's
I
my
agree,
dementia
everything takes a lot of energy because I know the library is also giving out computers with an internet connection. And I think theirs works better because they provide a lot of hand-holding
friend.
when they give it to you. And they're also available. You can always call them at the library if you run into a problem or have a question.
Well, maybe we could have a tech support, maybe the Salt Marsh needs tech support. Maybe we can find someone or train someone or, locate someone who can help people when they have a question like that.
I think there is an after-school program. I think it was 2 years ago with Officer Mansfield that the kids actually did go to the salt marsh, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember bringing some of the residents
Yep.
and they're like, I don't know how to use my tablet. I don't know how to use my Apple Watch. And they were there and they're like, oh yeah, bup, 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 bup.
Let's do that again.
Good idea.
Yeah, personally, I think that a high school kid would probably be over my head and talk too fast.
No, these were middle school kids.
Yeah, the
Even
younger,
worse.
the better.
The younger, the better. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Kind of kids.
Okay, because I can't even do the two thumbs thing. I don't know how they do that.
And plus, which we always had a hard time with the kids playing sports after school. That was always, that's why it didn't continue, because sports, every kid in Nantucket Public Schools plays a sport.
And the Salt Marsh isn't open at night, so people can't come at night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Allison, thank
we
you.
need like a retired person that would come in like Tom McGlynn used to do.
Yeah, he might be a good person, as well as Janie DuPont. I wonder if she would be willing to add to her current.
She would do it, but we need to pay her. All the stuff that she does with the Athenaeum, if
Yeah.
you look at my newsletter,
Mhm.
all of her classes I put on there. They don't mind that I spread the word that way. So, and half of it is learning how to Zoom to be able to learn technology. So,
Well, maybe we could look into, because, maybe it's some of the grants. I don't know what the grant cycle is. I'm pretty new about this, but that's one thing that they're willing to pay for, is to have someone provide outreach around technology. So let's all read our MCOA bulletins and meet halfway on that.
Okay, so we're going to get the address from Laura, to how to sign up. Is that correct?
Mhm.
yes, I will send it all out to everybody.
Perfect.
Thanks.
So Allison, do you want to go on with the next topic if you have anything from Elder Services of Cape Cod?
Sure. This year they gave out 14 bags of vegetables to people from Bartlett's Farm. That was an initiative that was mentioned in the MCOA bulletins. But Bartlett's Farm worked with them and put together incredible bags of vegetables, and they were delivered by the Meals on Wheels drivers to people who qualified for them, and it was a huge success. I mean, I don't think that we hear anything about some of the programs that Elder Services does, but that was very well received, and Bartlett's was really generous.
That was in my newsletter.
Oh, good. Was it?
Yeah, Sherry sends me whatever she wants advertised, of course.
Yeah,
Yep.
but does she send you the results? Like, did she let you know that how
No.
well it was? Okay, good.
She did
Because I
not.
don't know
send me
what,
the results.
she wouldn't know, but they just announced that Sandwich is getting a new is getting a new senior center. They expect it to be 18 months to 2 years before they get it up and running, but we might want to follow that to see what they're doing right as far as, and how they are locating locating the building, how many people they have. I mean, it's just, again, great to see how other communities do things. So a lot of congregate meals have opened in different places. They went through they changed the provider off island. It's still kiddies for us, and that's great because it's wonderful. But off island, they offer now vegetarian and kosher options for Meals on Wheels and congregate diners. They're also beginning in Mashpee an adult day health program. So they've been advertising, but the Fall River Family Service Association is the one who's sponsoring that. And again, that's something that would be great to keep our eye on, is how they do what they do, because we need adult day health. An adult foster care. I mean, can you imagine having an adult foster care program? I mean, I wonder who needs it here. I can think about a couple that might. They're also putting together a new program, and this is Elder Services of Cape Cod and the Islands. The whole the Council on Elder Affairs is the state name, but a lot of people who sign up for services through Elder Services, because their lack of, they're looking for home health aides. There are a lot of positions or homemakers that are left that are underpopulated. And so there's a tracking software now that's going to be able to track who has applied for and not been given services through Elder Services. Because there are 516 people waiting right now statewide for homemaking services. I don't know how many people on Nantucket that's affecting, but if you sign up for something and then you never get it, and then you don't re-sign up, you fall off the turnip truck, and you don't get services that you might need. A couple of other successful things other council on agings have done is someone did a food and toiletries drive for people who donate food and toiletries. I don't know, there was one for veterans and then one for another group that someone was able to identify and knew needed or could use some stuff. They also have a mentoring program, seniors and elementary school kids, that has been really successful. I don't know if we have any seniors in our senior center who would enjoy or would consider mentoring a student, but it's, again, helps both ways. Laura, has there ever been something like that? Have we ever done something like that?
No, we haven't. The intergenerational.
Yeah. How many members of the Salt Marsh are there?
The email goes out to about 550.
How many people do you think participate on a regular basis through programs at the Salt Marsh?
Maybe 50 to 75 a week.
But are they all, I mean, is it 50 or 70, the same 50 or 75 people every
Yes.
week? So we really serve 50 to 75 people. Yeah, we've got to bump that up. And then, oh, so there's a new, there's Leslie Shear has been the CEO of Cape and Island, the ESCCI for 28 years or something. And she's retiring. So there's going to be a new, director. And she's been really good. I mean, at first I thought she was a little tough, but I really respect her. And I think she's done a great deal to help the council on the ESCCI to be top of the heap sort of for councils on aging in the state. I mean, we have the best record in several different categories of reaching out and helping consumers. And I think she's been great at that. So, so yeah, that's, and there's a lot of money, the rescue plan that, so there's a lot of money that the ESCCI or the state has to spend on seniors that has yet to been, I mean, there's money available. We just have to look at what they want to give it, how they want to give it out and apply for it, because there's a surplus right now of unspoken for money. And that's my ESCCI report.
That was very thorough. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any
find-
comments or questions for Allison?
I find them, their meetings really informative, more so than ever post-COVID. For some reason, there's money, there's people who are really active and looking to help out our senior population, and that's invigorating.
We have a lot to learn.
Yeah. But we're really different. So, these people have resources and, hundreds of people attend. And we have 50 to 75 people that we need to grow our base here. We need to have more people with different things that they want to do come to the table. I don't know how we're going to do that, but
I agree. We have to offer them peanut butter and jelly,
or grilled
grilled
cheese.
cheese.
We had coffee and blueberry muffins this morning at 10 o'clock.
That's a good
Yeah.
thing.
A
Well,
good
is there
start.
any chance of repeating last fall's soup in a roll and those things? Because those were very well attended in the parking lot. Is there any chance of doing
All the
that again?
handouts, yeah.
We could do something like that. I wouldn't, we have, yes, I could look into that.
I just think a lot of people showed up for those.
Yes.
It was free, right?
Probably,
No.
no, NCEA paid
Oh.
Kendra. But it was a good deal because Kendra was on COA, so, it wasn't a big thing. Not thinking we could get a caterer to do that, but, I mean, have to get somebody from NCEA maybe to go to Stop and Shop, how they serve soup at lunch every day.
Mhm.
So they can make, so if we got a Bambarina soup and we ladled it out ourselves, or
Bartlett's Farm also does soup every day, and the corner table also does soup every day.
right, the thing is, well, so if we paid them,
Yeah.
but then they have to become like a vendor of the town to be able to, it's the same kind of RFP thing you were talking about, Allison.
Even if
So-
it's NCEA that does it?
Well, if they would like to do that, no. But if the town did it, yes.
So maybe we could approach NCEA and ask them to do it.
If they would like to.
Yeah.
And which would be good because then one of their members could go to those entities and ask, because COA and myself, since we're town, we can't. Well, I guess if you're paying, you can.
Would you
Yeah.
suggest that I approach NCEA and see if they'd be willing to fund this?
Sure, because I think that's just one of those great things where NCEA and COA and the Salt Marsh are all collaborating together.
Yes, okay. And I always suggest that they send a representative to our meeting, so sometimes Joe comes and sometimes not. So.
Right,
But
yep,
I would be glad to approach him and see if he'd be willing to finance something like that.
okay, great.
Again, any other questions
I
or
need to,
comments?
I need to, I need to leave the meeting to go back to work.
I think we're done, aren't we?
We're getting close. I only have one other thing. So
All
thank
right.
you, Diane, for alerting us.
I'm gonna hold on, but if you see me leave, you'll know why.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
still here, but if you see me leave, you'll know why. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to mention one thing from the recent meetings of NCEA. They've had a lot of turnover lately in their membership, so I thought I'd just mention that. People coming and joining, but people who are also retiring and leaving, so a lot of turnover. But this group had mentioned the outside of the salt marsh a number of months ago, maybe even years ago. And I just wanted you to know that they now have, the garden club is working on a renovation of the front garden at the salt marsh, which Laura hadn't mentioned, so I will. And they're going to be putting in flood and saltwater resistant plants. So people who come to the salt marsh will probably notice that there is something going on there. And then they have hired Adam Lockley as a landscaper to clean up the rest of the salt marsh grounds. So you may notice that if you come into the salt marsh. So I know people here will be happy to know that the garden club is actually doing something new with the plantings out front.
And so who is the current, the membership? I mean, who are the officers of the NCEA now?
Well, Joe Aguirre is still the president. John Copenhaver is the vice president. And after that, I could certainly have Laura send out the names of everybody who's on their board.
Do you have their minutes too, Laura?
Yeah, I think she gets them.
Yeah, eventually I do.
I mean, if you can share those, it would be interesting to see what they talk about.
Okay, NCEA minutes and
Perfect.
board members. Okay. You guys are getting a big email pretty soon.
A lot of attachments.
Because I think that Julie Fitzgerald is no longer on.
Right, she's one of
yeah,
the people who's left.
that's
And
too
she was
bad.
the one who headed up the committee on the new senior center,
Sure.
too, so that's a loss. Okay. Is there any other business?
I've got one thing. I'm wondering if we should send out to the membership a survey asking what people would be interested in seeing as far as new programming at the Salt Marsh. I mean, there are survey monkeys that we can send out that people can just answer and respond to. And I think it would be great to hear what other people, members, would like to see happening. You know, like the art classes. I don't know anybody who attended, although I've asked Liz to let me know, but I thought those were really great. I wish I was 65. For free, you could have taken that Zoe Markham painting thing.
Do you
But if
remember when
people-
those came out? It could also
Um,
be like a timing thing, you know, like I know that some things just start late, like we have this great idea, we're gonna put it on Monday, expecting people to be there on Friday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, that's and so I'm going to interview her on the Frank and Mary show about the next semester, because they sort of work in semesters, and that will be before Christmas, because you know, people want to give a gift certificate for a senior to attend a program, then that could be something that that we encourage. But does anyone want to work on a survey with me to send out to the, is that something we can do? Can two of us get together and work on a survey, or without posting it? What's the rule on that?
You can definitely do that. I've done that before, was use SurveyMonkey for that exact reason.
Oh, you have?
Didn't really get me too far. But
Hmm.
you know, the problem is, or one of the problems is that the people who get my emails get my emails. It's the people who don't get my emails that you want to reach.
And I know so many people who don't
No.
get them that are senior citizens, Susan Richards, Laura Stewart. I mean, how do we invite people to become members? Maybe that's what we should focus on.
Go back to
Right.
printing stuff and putting it in the mail.
How about
Yeah.
an ad on one of the daily Daybreak or one of the, Daybreak or Nantucket Current?
Maybe if we had an ad and a survey, people who weren't members could join and see what we offer and maybe suggest, because we need to have more than 50 or 75 people. And although we don't have the space right now, that's why we should be looking at programming that's going to be offsite, like the Artists Association or like other places. Maybe, the community school lets its properties, Remains properties, be used for free if it's a nonprofit. So, the town is a nonprofit.
Allison, question, the people you're talking about who are not members of the Salt Marsh, are they 60 years old?
Mhm. Yeah,
And your talking to them doesn't make them want to just sign up?
yeah.
It's
I mean,
free.
I can't believe they haven't yet. People in my church.
Oh,
And they would be, they're volunteers, they're people who would participate. I don't know, they're pretty busy already, but, to
yeah,
become
those are
involved
usually
with,
the ones that do, though.
yeah, but, the same people, to get some more of the same people who do things involved in this, and younger people, my friends aren't even, Patty Tash isn't a member. I keep saying, why don't you, but what do we do that she wants to do? Nothing. So if we did things that she wanted to do, it might
Is
bring
she
more people in.
60 years old?
Oh, yeah, she's 70.
Oh,
Ask her what she wants to do.
Yeah.
Start that way.
I wanted her to sign up for an art class, but she didn't. But there's a whole bunch of people I know who are of age and I harp on them all the time.
and that's not even working?
I know, I'm losing my harp, I think.
But just ask them if they would like to receive the newsletter, get their email from them, send it to me. I mean, as long as I can't just put it out there and add people's emails out of nowhere.
I'm going to send you a lot of people's emails addresses who I harp on all the time.
But they need to want to get it.
They've
They
told
just
me in the
can't
past they
arrive
have.
in their box willy-nilly.
They've told me in the past that they want them, and I'll tell them that I'm adding their names.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you, that's good.
but we should all do that. We should all be recruiting. We should have a goal to add 20%
Mic check.
to the roles.
With everybody Allison, the membership is going to be skyrocketing.
Skyrocketing, right? Jericho, what did you say?
I was just checking to see if my mic was working. We are running up at the end of our allotted time,
Yep.
just so you guys know.
Okay, so with that, I think we can adjourn. Can I get somebody to make a motion for adjournment?
I would love to make that motion.
I'd love to second it.
Thank you. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Okay, Jericho, we're done.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys, and apologies for the slow start. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, thanks again, Jericho.